So hello, everybody. I'm hoping and guessing that you can hear me, you can see me. Now, many of you I know already, right? So many of you have been in Bali now for what, five years with my family. I think I originally got here around 20 years ago was the first time to Ubud. I remember the Ratu Bagas. Those who are here will know exactly who that is and what kind of ashram he has. As an amazing experience. And so we came back here, as I mentioned, with myself, my partner who's born in Jakarta. We met in Sydney about 10 years ago. We have two small children, 5 and 7, and we decided to come to Bali about 5 years ago. So during that time, as Adrian mentioned before, and thank you for the great introduction, mate, appreciate it. So we got to really see Bali from the ground up. And one of the first things that we did was set up a little cafe called Life in Bali. Now, this cafe is in Brawa, which, as you know, is one of the hot spots of Bali as we know it today. And, you know, Speak Up Monday, as Adrian mentioned, which we'll get into a little bit later on, started out as a Monday inspiration session on a weekly basis, because many years prior, working at a very high level in the hospitality industry around the world, including in Sydney, I had 3 friends that passed away, that took their own lives. No one ever saw it coming. And this happened on a Monday, and 80% of suicides happen on a Monday. It's crazy statistics. So Speak Up Monday, that was about creating a positive ripple on a day when other people were deciding to do something else. And that's how that started. And it's been every week for over 3 years, over 205 episodes, interviewing people here in Bali, which eventually has become the fabric of Bali and helps to navigate Bali, create an incredible network of people, joining the network, which I already have, and some phenomenal possibilities, opportunities, and seeing just how this beautiful, mystical island that we call Bali has been evolving. So I'll move in now to this keynote, which I prepared, and ideally you can see it. So as you know, today we're here, it's a World Bali Forum, co-creating a resilient, regenerative economy and community. Now, let's get over here. Okay, just going back here, a bit of a delay. So now, as we know, there's been massive turmoil in the world when it comes to this pandemic, COVID-19. And as we know, as you can hear from my accent, I was originally born in the UK. You know, I'm so glad that I spent the whole period here in Bali, actually. Didn't want to be anywhere else. But it has caused so much upheaval and so much change that it really has created in its wake a whole new economy, a whole new way of seeing, being, acting, for countries, for people, for communities. But it also has created an opportunity to create this network, to create this beautiful coming together of like minds, to create this opportunity for growth, expansion, to look at what we've been doing to the planet from an individual level, on a company level, on a country level, on a global level. And through doing so, we can create a brighter future. And really, this is what it's all about. And now Bali has undergone this same metamorphosis. So beforehand, you know, when we speak about, you know, Bali being this new Bali, in many ways, I wouldn't necessarily call it a new Bali, because Bali is the same. You know, we are the guests, we are the visitors, right? Bali just does what it does. But I would say a new dimension to Bali has opened up. And this is this resilient, regenerative economy and community that Adrian was referring to earlier on. Now, I just want to bring you to a really important statistic that blew my mind when I first heard it. And that's one on your screen now. So within the next really 15 to 20 years, you know, half of the world's working population will be working remotely. And that's a big number, 2 billion people, Now, as we know, Bali is an incredible place. I mean, the last 10 years, it's always been in the top 3 most popular destinations that people want to go to, want to visit, want to spend time in the world. The most recent one being TripAdvisor 2021, Bali being the people's choice, #1 location that people want to go to, want to visit, want to stay in for 2021, okay? So this is a very important number. And as we know, as I'll get into a little bit later on, remote working, what COVID has done has shown us that we don't need to be attached, stuck in an office in LA, London, New York. We can work remotely and be in a place that inspires us, being in a place that moves and motivates us, and by its very nature, gives us that level of happiness, of contentment, that, let's be honest, which pretty much every human being is looking for, right? That contentment, that inner trust, that inner well-being, right? And Bali is a place where, what is it? I heard the other day talking to a really great friend who's been here, working here for 20 years, right? And he says, he puts it beautifully, right? He says that Bali is a place where heaven and earth meet. Right? And I think that's, everyone who's been to Bali or lives in Bali would reflect on that and say, you know what? That kind of nails it. And it does, right? A place where heaven and earth meet. And that's from all levels, right? So the karma positively affecting you and negatively affecting you too, right? It's a place where if you come with good intention, good action, good deeds, you are rewarded in immeasurable ways. And if you come with the other state of mind, the opposite to that, pretty much I think we're all very, very aware that Mother Bali has got her way of kind of showing you the door in one way, shape or form. So let's move forward. So, you know, let's first reflect upon where Bali has been. Now, Bali has been in this mass tourism model. Now, this model hasn't been all bad, right? It's created, and as I was talking to, again, you know, a great friend yesterday, we're talking about this, saying that, you know, if it wasn't for mass tourism, in many ways, the culture of Bali, in a way, may have been negatively impacted. Now, when I first thought about that, I was like, what, are you crazy? Mass tourism positively impacting the culture of Bali? No way. But when you think about it, people come here, you know, Eat, Pray, Love, all these different movies and movements which have started here, right? People come here for that mystical quality, that quality of being able to return me back to source, that quality of well-being and all those things that we know and love. Okay, so if you think about it, what the majority of this mass tourism has done is actually put that into a, you know, into an Instagram post, Facebook post, Twitter post, and said, this is why I come to Bali. So that in a way has reinforced that mysticism, that cultural identity that Bali has. Now, as we know, the rest of Java is not Hindu, right? It's majoritively Muslim now, which has a different ethos and a different spirit vortex around it. So the fact that Bali has 4 or 5 major religions, all of which are respected on the calendar. So in reality, emotionally, physically, and spiritually, but then you have people coming here en masse, reporting that back to their respective corners of the globe. Actually, in many ways, it's actually helped from that perspective, Bali to remain in a way Bali, right? The Trihita Karana, you know, man, God, the environment, right? You know, all of these things that we know and love, right? So, but we also know that mass tourism has brought with it many challenges that we call problems. And we know about these: sustainability, environment, ways of being, you know, this, what I call, and no disrespect, but this kind of bintang tourist, as I like to call them, right? I lived in Australia for 20 years. So I kind of, I have an understanding of just the culture and the mentality. So now we're in a space where we can create a new economy, a new community, right? Taking into account this new dimension of Bali, which is coming, which I call contribution tourism. Say it again, contribution tourism, which I'm going to get back to in a second. Now, before that, for those of you who perhaps don't know me, my name is Robert Ian Bonnick, the tourism architect, as I'm known as. And look, where I've come from is this iconic business, entertainment, tourism advisor and promoter from mainly Australia. I was born in London, but Australia, I've been working for many years. Italy and other parts of Europe for many years, working at the very high level, forging contacts, connections, working relationships, and deep friendships in 30 industries, which sounds like a lot. 30 industries over 30 years. One of our projects in the nightlife entertainment space, voted number 3 in the world. All right, so I've been through that. I've been, I'm in the process of becoming a coach, a speaker, an author, a best-selling author, and an advisor. Right, so all of these things is where I've come from. But the thing about tourism, which I love, is that I was born in London, 18 years growing up in 2 orphanages, so for many years. And what I learned there in this very multicultural orphanage was, what unity is truly about on a deep level, and how we all connect as human beings around certain things things like, wanting to be accepted for who we are. Some of us want significance, to be of value and support to other people, to be a positive asset on the planet. These are things we have in common. And I ended up, from the children's home, becoming an elite sportsman. I ended up working with Madonna, the supermodels, and so many different celebrities. And, I had this opportunity to really check out and to know and to understand human conditioning and nature at a very deep level. And what I love about unity and tourism and all of this is that, and coaching the leaders of tomorrow, which get to impact millions of people. What I love about that is I get to seed, I get to, and I'm talking now unapologetically, I get to seed unity, wisdom, connection in everyone that I touch, everyone that I deal with, and every organization or venture that I'm involved in, which is why, over the years, 2,000 plus events I produced, co-created, which have impacted in what we call in-person events over 1.5 million people. When you include the online, it's over 2 million people. And I'm not stopping, I'm continuing. So tourism is a huge opportunity to make that happen, to create the opportunities and possibilities for that to happen on a level of nations, on a level of countries. And that's why I love that. So bringing all this experience together, I'm able to create tailored business solutions for tourism boards and tourism-based businesses, either in Bali or moving to Bali. And as I mentioned before, that global network of change makers, 30 industries, enables me to empower strategic partnerships across industries, across islands, across countries, right? But all with that view of what is good for Bali and therefore good for the planet, and also, what is good for us as human beings. And as I mentioned, I'm the founder of this inbound tourism initiative, this award-winning inbound tourism commission called Speak Up Monday. So let's get back to it. So Speak Up Monday. Now, here you've got a little image of a good friend and someone who typifies what we're about to get into as contribution tourism is Made Janur Yasa. Now, Made Janur Yasa is an incredible person, a local man from Bali. What I love about him is that he's also like me and like many of us here, he's a bridge between worlds, between communities, between nations, between cultures. And Plastic Exchange Bali, we had our first interview on Speak Up Monday, which happens at Tropical Nomad every Monday at 6:30, live audience as well as live stream. So we go out through Instagram and all the different social media channels. He was just beginning to start Plastic Exchange with an idea, with a thought, with a vision, with a beautiful dream, right? And then fast forward, some years later, well, not even years, months later, this thing is now in hundreds of banjars. It's affected thousands and thousands of people. It's taken tons, hundreds of thousands of tons of garbage, of inorganic plastic and inorganic matter, and basically exchange that for rice for local villages and banjars all over Bali, especially now during this time of COVID. So it has been immeasurably successful, and he's been recognized by CNN and the rest of the world as a global hero, top 10 nominated, and he may even win. If he wins, woo, we're all going to be partying here in Bali in a very powerful way, because that will create the funds to roll this out Bali-wide and beyond. You know, and I know that a good friend, Gil Petersall, who will be later on, is also helping him to expand and grow that. So these are, you know, of these 200 plus interviews, this is what I mean. We've been interviewing the fabric of those here in Bali, you know, from business, the co-founder of Gojek, through to environment, sustainability, climate tech, you know, through to sustainability tech I mentioned already, the numerous amount of coaches, speakers, entrepreneurs, Balinese, Indonesian, English, expat, of all different descriptions, right? Now, these people represent, a lot of them represent the change makers that underpin Bali. So these have all been on the show, and we go deep. We go deep. So we get to know each other very, very well, and we showcase what they do, who they are, which gives us a sense of why they do what they do. And that also armed us with an incredible network, which navigates its way through Bali to then co-create, to collaborate, to help and advise these incredible ventures to really have success here in Bali and beyond. So, let's move forward. Not lagging a little bit. So contribution tourism, as I mentioned before, as you can see, we're talking about technology, sustainability, climate tech. By the way, climate tech, I think it was the head of BlackRock, you know, just mentioned recently that climate tech will account for the next 1,000 billionaires, will account for the next 1,000 billionaires on the planet. Amazing. Health and medical and so on. So this is contribution tourism, this type of activity which adds to the fabric and value of Bali, right? So it has to go through that filter of positively contributing to Bali and its people. And these are things which I love to facilitate. Now, so this new dimension to Bali, as we've spoken about. Now, how are we doing for time, actually, Adrian?
About 5 to 7 minutes.
5 to 7 minutes, great. So what I've done is I've put together, you know, a couple of slides which give you an idea, because again, this is an opening, right? So I want to set the scene as well for all of these amazing, brilliant initiatives, people which are coming on board, right? Which are here in Bali. So for you in Bali, probably know all of these guys anyway, right? If you don't, here's an opportunity for you to see them. And if you're watching from outside of Bali, then it gives you an idea to see, wow, what kinds of organizations are here. And look, one guy I want to mention because it's important, you know, a guy called Renat Huberger. Now, I hope he doesn't mind mentioning him. So we interviewed Renat on Speak Up Monday some time ago. I think it was the last interview we did at, and I think that was at Zin Rooftop from memory, before we went into this COVID situation where we had to go online completely. Now, Renat, he is the CEO of a company called South Pole. Now, South Pole is, I think, the third largest company in the world which funds or facilitates projects which remove CO2 from the environment. Huge company. I think he's currently in Switzerland, but he's based here. You know, we have other companies, you know, EX Ventures, Julian, who's created this waste to energy system, which I think is it's the widest use of inorganic materials and waste with the lowest carbon emissions to create energy with. And we've got Seeds, you know, Reiki, Ronnie. Seeds is another one, which is blockchain based, you know, regenerative, environmentally based blockchain ecosystem, which has got a use case of hundreds of thousands of people in South America. They're doing incredible things. So we've interviewed so many different people which are here in Bali, which are creating, co-creating these initiatives, projects, which are not only uplifting Bali, but the world as we know it, which is beautiful, which is such an incredible vision. And again, people here, Bali Investment Club we got here, we've got Mason Adventures, Nigel Mason, I'll be interviewing in a few weeks' time. He's been here for years. And, Mason Adventures and Mason Elephant Park and all of those things that he's been doing has been, again, phenomenally important for Bali. That one is more of a mass tourism model, let's be honest, right? But the guy has done incredible things. He employs about 700 people. I mean, come on. I mean, phenomenal guy. I spent a good 2 or 3 hours with him and the family a few weeks ago, getting to know him a little bit more. Phenomenal person, wonderful, wonderful person. And we've got Greener. Who else? We've got the Dolphin Project, as we mentioned before. And we've got, as mentioned, Seed, Clin, Arno, a friend, the CEO. Clin, what they're doing with waste, right? Medical waste and so on. Again, phenomenal. I know that one of the team friends and one of the co-founders are going to be speaking later on. We already mentioned Seed South Pole Unit, by the way. I'll give Unit a plug. So Michael, I met some years ago, and I was a speaker at another one of his unit venture conferences. Fantastic guy. Met again. We always, every time I speak about him, is his friend called Gino, who's based in Hong Kong. A phenomenal mind, phenomenal thinker. Again, it's about how do we bring together, nurture this community, which can then empower others. Because here in Bali, I think one of the biggest blocks for a lot of people that I know outside of Bali is trust. So by doing great initiatives like this, by coming together like this, and Itchy and I here at Tropical Nomad and many others, we're part of creating this trust network. So people that want to move to Bali, businesses that want to move to Bali, people that want to move to Bali can do so within this trusted network of knowing they don't have to make the same mistakes, go through the same challenges that we did, that many of us did, and maybe still going through now. So we can literally create that runway for them to have great success, provided, very important one, provided that it is good for Bali. I said it again, that it is good for Bali. Now Mother Bali has this incredible way of weeding out, those projects, people and so on, which are good for Bali and those which are not. And when I say good for Bali, it actually translates to being good for the planet. Right? So these things I see together. And, again, as this tourism architect, what I do is I'm right in the middle, creating, tailor-making these solutions for tourism boards, these solutions for businesses in Bali or wanting to move to Bali. But again, we have the know-how, we have the contacts, we have the track record of success. So we're able to enable and empower you through strategic partnerships to basically have success here with your project, which again is good for Bali and good for the planet. So what else have I put together in the slide? So a bit of a summary. Number one, the world has changed due to this COVID-19 pandemic. There have been a lot of collateral damage, which I really wish most of us, all of us, wish wasn't present, but it is. Right? So what is it that we can do about it? We can resiliently pivot into a contribution tourism mindset, which is away from the mass market. It's about tailor-making specific projects and initiatives which bring a specific type of person here to Bali, and also empowering those which are already here. So we know the hospitality industry is Bali, right? And it's hurting. So what we're doing is creating opportunities and solutions which empower that industry to have as much success as it can do here, because remember, the hospitality industry empowers Bali. Okay, we're talking about farming, we're talking about sustainable practices. I mean, I interviewed the guys from Jiwa Garden, who I think Juka's going to be up speaking later on. Phenomenal guys doing an incredible thing with permaculture and so on. I interviewed Evi Ghazali from Sabah Bay, one of the owners at Sabah Bay, which are doing incredibly well. But she was showing me about how much land was farming orientated 10 years ago and how much that has shrunk today. and was explaining and discussing the solutions that they have in mind to bring that number back up, to make farming cool and trendy and hip again. So this next generation of Balinese coming up see farming as something important, not only for the planet, but something that can empower them and their community, right? I think 2 weeks ago on Speak Up Monday, we had interviewed a Dayak, so born in Kalimantan, and she's an activist as well for that entire movement, getting to know what is happening. What I didn't know, and I'm kind of embarrassed, right? But Borneo, otherwise known as Kalimantan, is the 3rd largest island in the world. I had no idea. And then, you know, the Amazon is 1 lung of the world. Well, Kalimantan, Borneo, is the other lung of the world. I didn't know this. And then we were talking about the different challenges facing the Dayak, but also the success stories as well. And again, bringing these stories to light, showcasing these sorts of stories. So when people come to Bali, they have this, and Indonesia, they have this understanding of what it is, what the history is, why it's such an important civilization to maintain, right? So this opportunity to build a resilient economy and community is powerful. And then we move on to this, this number 3, as you can see, and then this new dimension to tourism, as I've said, and embracing this contribution tourism model. And then finally, you know, each of us, you know, taking our responsibility. I do it as a tourism architect, you know, creating those solutions, those tailored solutions for tourism boards, as I mentioned, in businesses, either in Bali or those wanting to move to Bali. But many of us here, you know, are doing incredible things. But many of us here are probably guilty of duplicating, right? Duplicating what we do with other people. And as a great friend, Gil Peterson and I, you know, we work closely together on many things. We're looking for that one project that we could really blow it up, right? It's not about duplication, it's about collaboration. So what I encourage you to do, and you can reach out to me, more than happy to support and assist as best as I can, or reach out to other people, you know, and look for these cross-market, cross-industry collaborations, right? To empower not only one another, but to empower Bali. And in doing so, we empower the rest of the world, right? Robert, so just think of, you know, I mean, this is probably the one most important question that I ask people on Speak Up Monday is, you know, what kind of future is it that you want to see? So what kind of future is it that you want to see? That's the first question. Then the second one follows on from that. Okay, so what kind of future do you want to see? How can you work towards it starting today? What step or steps can you take to that process now? Okay, so they're the 2 things that I'll leave you with. And I think we're about time, Adrian.
Yep,
yes,
we are
very good. So thank you for your time, guys. Enjoy what's coming. It's I feel very privileged to be here in Bali. I realize that I am a guest. I thank Mother Bali every day for allowing me to be here and to facilitate, inspire, and connect. Facilitate, inspire, and connect. That's what I do in a nutshell. And again, thank you for your attention, your time, your love. And remember those 2 important questions. What kind of future is it that you want to see? What can you do today to empower that to happen, no matter how small it may seem? Thank you very much indeed, guys. Lots of love, and I'll see you soon. Bye for now.
Thank you, Robert. Thank you for this inspiring talk and also for this really super guiding questions here.